Oh, Breaker19, this here is the Gear Jammin' Deer. Whitetail has got your front door, come on. Starting right back up where we left off last week. I need to hit the key button twice. And let's roll. Fun fact, it's almost the same time in game as it is in real life right now. Well, except that I'm in a different time zone. As of recording this, I'm parked in Columbus on Eastern Time. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm burping so much. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. Well, I say I don't eat breakfast. I haven't had breakfast in 9 years. That's not accurate either, but you get the point. Still, don't know what the burping's about. And I left my seat where I put it in the last video. Which, height-wise, is closer to where I like. Sort of. But it's too far forward. And now it's even more obvious that it's too far forward because it's higher than it should be. Sorry if you have OCD and having the camera skewed like this bothers you. I can't be bothered to readjust it. For a truck that we're only going to be in for another 10 minutes anyway. I'll angle it slightly straighter. So that way I can still see my mirror, but the camera isn't quite as curved. Or quite as angled. So I did want to talk about, and I meant to talk about this in the last video. But I forgot. I did want to talk about one of my other inspirations for making a series like this. So I talked about Squirrel in the first episode, and, you know, I'm doing a more Squirrel-like series. This is, you know, he had an ETS2 series that was similar to this, that he used a lot more mods. And I feel like it wasn't as interconnected. Like, there were some episodes that followed directly after the other, but I feel like a lot of the time it was jumping around, but I might just be misremembering. It might have just been, I didn't know how playlists worked when I was watching those back then. So I just watched whatever video came up I recommended. I probably didn't watch them in the right order. So anyway, another big influence in me wanting to make this style of video. Sorry if you heard that pop, by the way. I went to scratch my face and smack my microphone. Was Trucker T-Rex, if anyone recognizes that name. I want to say, whoops, the time that he was making videos was right around when ETS2 first came out. Because he had two series. He had one in the US using 18 Wheels of Steel Rollin, and he had one in Europe using ETS. And I never watched the ETS videos. I tried watching one, and it didn't interest me as much. Probably because, you know, European trucks still don't interest me as much as American trucks do. I just, you know, this is what I grew up with. But even back then, and especially in the first ETS, just really... And I think he did some German Truck Simulator too as well. And then when ETS2 came out, he started playing ETS2, because I got them mixed up. And one time I watched an ETS2 video, mostly by mistake. I think I had autoplay on. And I'd been watching one of the 18 Wheels of Steel videos, and then it autoplayed an ETS2 video, and I was like, this doesn't look like the last time I tried watching this. Because the last time I tried watching it was in ETS1. But anyway. So he made some pretty cool videos. He used a lot of mods as well. In Holland, at least. I don't know if he used mods in ETS. Because I didn't watch those. But, you know, he had map mods and, you know, various different truck mods and traffic mods. And it all looked really cool. And he'd do, like... First of all, his videos didn't have commentary. I think they sometimes had, like, text at the bottom of the screen that you could read, but they didn't have voice commentary. So he'd set up his own scenarios that he'd be doing. So, you know, like, there's one video I specifically recall watching where he was just going into a yard and swapping trailers. Give myself the side eye for a stupid slip of the tongue. You know, and stuff like that. And, like, he'd put the camera in cool places using the dev cam. Like, I think one time he was picking up from a construction site or delivering to a construction site, I don't remember which. And he put the camera in the cab of one of the machines as he drove in, so stuff like that. It was really fun. It was a fun time. It was how I'd spend most of my evenings when I was supposed to be sleeping to be ready for school the next day. I'd be up on my iPod watching videos of Trucker T-Rex, just, you know, enjoying riding with him. And that memory has always, or those memories, I should say, this was a period of a few months, have always stuck with me. He was my favorite 18 Wheels of Steel YouTuber. And I haven't looked into him recently. I assume his old videos are still up. So if you look up Trucker T-Rex on YouTube and find his 18 Wheels of Steel videos, those are the ones I'm talking about. And I've tried a couple of times in the past to do a series much more similar to the series that he did. The closest I ever got was my Owner-Operator Line Driver series, which was 3 episodes, I think, because I very quickly got tired of trying to, like, his videos, or at least when I tried to remake his style of videos, there's a decent bit of production that goes into it, especially when it comes to making the subtitles and everything. And I just very quickly stopped wanting to deal with it. You know, and his videos were shorter than mine, too. My average OOLD video was 40 minutes. I think his were closer to 10. So that probably had something to do with it as well. But, you know, record 40-minute video. Well, first, think up idea for what unique video I want to do. Drive for 40 minutes recording this video. Which that wasn't that bad, because that was when I was really into playing this game before I was able to drive in real life. So that part wasn't a bother. But then I had to go back and sit through that 40 minutes video and try to edit it on a really crappy, I think I was using Windows Movie Maker back then, which, you know, isn't a horrible editing software. It was what I could get for free. But it's not great, especially with long projects. And then after I render it, and that takes a couple hours, then I gotta sit through and watch that whole 40 minutes again to make sure it rendered properly. And at this point, I'd rather just be doing more driving. I don't feel like spending all this time editing videos and rewatching stuff I already did. And yeah, I got tired of doing it very quickly. Which, once again, is part of why I'm trying to make sure this series needs as little work to go from recording to uploading as possible, is so that I don't get tired of making it so quickly, at least. You know, I want this series to be something that I can take a day to focus on this series every month. And then that gives me a month, the next month of the series. Because then I can stockpile. You know, if I have 2 weekends in a row that I feel like working on it, then, you know, I can build up like 3 months of content. And, you know, that's also why I'm not trying to do anything... Oops, I'm speeding more than I want to be. Drop back down to 58. That's also why I'm not doing something like what I tried to do with Log Runner. Which, first of all, that was just... I did a horrible job with storytelling in that series. Like, it was... continuing on a story that was a fan fiction that me and Bucking Bronco wrote that, to my knowledge, never actually got released. But I never explained anything from that series. So, you had to have knowledge of a series that wasn't actually out in its entirety in order to understand what was going on. But even without that, I did a horrible job of storytelling in the series Log Runner itself. It was not And it was the project, like, I put more effort into that project than anything else I've uploaded onto YouTube, and it's absolutely horrible. It's still somewhat entertaining to watch, at least. But, like, scripted episodes maybe would have been a good idea. Recording first and then doing a voiceover afterward, so that if I did something stupid, like try to turn in front of a truck and get slammed into, I can just re-record that part and not have to try to fit it into the narrative of the series. But, you know, on top of that, so it was high production value for a series, well, not high production value, but high production cost for a series that I didn't think was coming out very well anyway. So it's no wonder that one died. I'm surprised I stuck with it as long as it did. But that's also why I'm not trying to do something like that with this. You know, where I'm not trying to tell a story. It's just, hey, let's see if I can build my trucking career in a virtual sense, because I don't have the capital to do it in real life yet. And with the way the trucking industry is going in real life, I might never get to that point. Which is a fun thought. So let's talk about that a little bit. I do fully intend to own a truck at some point in my life, and Bronco or Foxy Ranch, whatever, depending on when you came into my series, I don't know what you're going to know him as, or when you came into my channel, rather. He has actually bought a truck. I'm not going to go into detail with it, but he found a really good deal on an old Western Star, which is like his dream truck, and he just couldn't pass it up. So he now owns a truck that runs but is not road legal, that he just tinkers with on his spare time, basically, but mostly just goes and sits and looks at. It's like Michael with his yacht from GTA 5. I like looking at it. But anyway, I do like when there's not a question in my mind that I'm going to own a truck, ideally a GMC tractor, at some point in my life. The question is going to be whether I can financially afford to run it and have my own company. And that's what I'm not so sure about right now, especially with the way the industry is at the moment. Just, like, I'm hoping that it'll normalize itself. Obviously, the freight industry has gone through lows in the past, but right now we have incredibly slow freight, plus high fuel costs, plus high cost of entry just buying a truck, because used trucks have skyrocketed. So, you know, like, when I was 18, I was hoping by the time I was turning 24, I'd be looking at buying a truck. And now that I am turning 24, it's like, I'm still years away from even thinking about buying a truck. And obviously, as this conversation we're having, considering the possibility that I might never be able to own a truck in the sense of being an owner-operator. But if that is the eventuality that occurs, I refuse to not own a truck at any point in my life. So, you know, if it gets to the point where it's obviously not going to be financially viable for me to buy my own truck, I guess they're considering me to be in the intersection, then I'm going to switch gears to building a show truck. And, you know, it'll be, I'll work for a company running their truck for my day job, but then I'll have my show truck that I take to shows. And, you know, if these EV mandates that are supposed to be going into effect hold, which I get the feeling they're not going to, but if they do, that might end up being the only way that I can... Like, if that were to happen, if the EV mandates were to actually hold... Oops. It wouldn't surprise me to get to the point where the commercial operation of diesel trucks was completely outlawed. At which point, even if I could afford to buy and operate a truck, I wouldn't legally be able to operate the sort of truck that I want. So at that point, it would just be building a show truck anyway. But that's all a play it by ear sort of scenario and just see what happens with the industry in the next 5, 10, 20 years. Ideally, what I'm hoping for is that someone will develop a clean-burning internal combustion engine that's comparable to a modern diesel. And, you know, whatever truck I want to build to run as an owner-operator, I'll be able to just convert to that power source. Woo! Look at all that XP. Forgot how quick it is leveling up in the beginning. Let's go with high value on this one. Oh, and I got some emails. What do these say? Special transports. Oh, exciting. And telling me that my credit limit has been raised. I haven't decided yet. I always tend to give myself a cap. I want to get to this amount of money before I take a loan. Because basically, taking a loan is... If I'm taking a loan, it's a truck loan. I'm taking a loan to buy a truck. So it's basically like, I want to be able to put a certain amount down before I will accept a financing deal. That's the real life equivalent. And I haven't decided what the amount I want to be able to put down is. It's usually around $30,000, $35,000. But with the introduction of the used truck market, which I don't know what you have to do to unlock that. I assume you have to reach a certain level. I just don't know what it is. I'll have to look into that. I wonder if you have to discover a truck dealer before you can buy a used truck. Let's see. So I'm in Oakland right now. There is a truck dealer in San Francisco. So is there a load going into San Francisco? There is not. In fact, all that's coming out of here is oversize. Which, like, oversize loads pay well, but didn't really want to do one. Oh, San Francisco is one of the cities that's automatically discovered. Alright, and this gives me enough time that I could definitely get into San Francisco by taxi in 5 hours. So let's do that. The reason I shy away from doing oversized loads, by the way, is there are so many ways that the escort vehicle can bug that it actually makes it really risky to do oversized loads in a legit profile. Alright, so let me head to the truck dealer first of all. Would have been nice if this load was going north. But yeah, so the used truck dealer existing might change my stance on loans and how much money I need to build up before getting a loan and stuff like that. Especially since the 2 mods that I'm going to make for this series, which will be released on Steam, if I didn't already mention that somewhere previously. But they're both focusing on modifying what's available from the used truck dealer. Which, I said I'm making them specifically for this series. That's not entirely true. I'm making them mostly to make doing cheap truck challenges more viable. But so, you know, I'm gonna basically make it so that there's a larger variety of super rundown, super cheap trucks, a larger variety of trucks with custom parts, which I can use save editing tactics to do, which will be pretty cool. So like you'll be able to buy trucks and configurations that you can't get new, because they're basically the thought process is you couldn't buy a truck like this straight from the factory, you know, using only factory parts. It has custom parts, so you're buying a used truck, someone else customized it. You know, it just make cheap truck challenges much more interesting, but it'll also be good for this series because I might get lucky with a really good deal on a cheap truck that's not in absolutely horrible condition. Alright, so Volvo dealer get Volvo dealer get it would be a cool addition if you could get used trucks from actual dealers as well. Like it would be cool if there were physical used truck dealers, just like there are physical new truck dealers. And so as a result of that, like used truck dealers would only sell used trucks, where new truck dealers would have the new trucks that you can always buy, but then there would also be a changing selection of used trucks that's primarily from that manufacturer. So, like, at Kenworth and Peterbilt dealers, like, at a Kenworth dealer, you'd be able to buy all the brand new Kenworths just like you can, but you'd also be able to you'd be able to see a selection of used Kenworths and Peterbilts, because that happens in real life, and as well as the occasional other manufacturer getting thrown in from a trade-in sort of deal. Volvo and Mack dealers would be the same way, and Freightliner and Western Star dealers. Just a neat little bit of added realism. But then you could also have brick and mortar used truck dealers, which only have used trucks. Speed limit's only 40 here. Slow it down. Truck's got too much power. The cruise control doesn't know how to deal with it. My mouth's got too much power. Or my tongue has too much power, and my mouth doesn't know how to deal with it. Need to brush up on my long nose driving abilities. I don't remember. Is the San Francisco phase of the California rework supposed to be coming out in the next update? I think it might be. I'm excited for that. I know they're supposedly doing, like, updates to the back end of the game engine that should help it run better. Which is also very exciting, because I get a lot of stutters in populated areas, especially in the newer parts of the map, that it will be nice to not have anymore. I think I'm actually going to once again split this load. I'm going off my internal clock here, so I might be stopping a little bit earlier than I need to. But, if I go this whole load, I'm 99% sure that it's going to be more than 30 minutes. And since the last video was already a bit more than 30 minutes, I'd rather have this video be a little bit closer to the right time length. So I'm going to pull over here at the wharf and call it a day for this video. Damn it. Really excited for the day that they potentially add sensor traffic lights to this game. Because this light really doesn't need a change unless there's a vehicle sitting over there waiting. And of course, the only vehicle that'll ever be sitting over there waiting will be a player. I'm back here in quite a while. Alright. Just notice the door locks are missing. The reason I was looking is because the LTs are like this, so I assume the Pro Stars are as well. I mean, I assume the Lone Stars are as well. When you pull the parking brake, the doors automatically unlock. And it sounded like I heard the door unlock when I... Hold on. Yeah, you can hear the... I guess it snuck its way into the recording when they were recording sounds for this truck. That is so funny. But that's why I was looking, and the door locks aren't actually there. Anyway, sorry, that totally distracted me. So without any further ado, yeah, I'm gonna leave it here just to try to keep this video at a decent length, and I'll be picking it right back up in the next one. So until then, keep the hammer down, drivers.